So I cut a couple pieces. I think this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a panel this size, and I'm gonna weld a shroud around the back of it and fit it so that this whole thing comes up and off. And so I just cut a piece 2 inches wide, strip of poster board and marked it. So now I'll cut a piece of sheet metal this angle here, and it will lean back. I want it to roll back, not be straight up and down. So that's pretty simple. Like that right there. So this will roll back. Won't be on a 90. So I'll cut a piece of sheet metal and get that ready. So when I cut this piece, I marked the radius here, where it started, where it stopped, and then I marked the angle. And this is where it starts and this is where it stops. And you can see this is more of a 90 off of that, but this is more, I don't know, 30 or something coming at this angle. So what I want to do is roll this, but I want to turn it as I'm going so that this piece is tilted. It's not straight up. If you rolled it straight in both ways, it would be straight up. So I'm going to take this over to the English wheel. And the English wheel is just a 2-inch wheel. So I'm going to roll that in there on this angle, then I'm going to turn it and roll at this angle. So I'm going to turn it and get this radius. Now I'm just going to feather that in, turn it. Just keep, so go this direction and then turning it into it. So that should lay down now when I put it in. Again, same thing. Start square and turn the piece. I could just bend it too, but it might kink up. This will give you a nice smooth radius. So you see I got a rubber, that's just an inner tube that I cut, and that makes it 2-dimensional. If you didn't have that on there, it would go 3-dimensional. It'd bend both ways. So I use that a lot, but it's starting to get ripped up. Get a new one. I think you can buy them already made. I just buy an inner tube and cut it. That's what I've been doing. Wheelbarrow or something like that. So there's my piece. So we'll go back over and finish fitting it. See how it's laying at an angle now. It's going to fit pretty good there. I didn't want it to be a blunt. I wanted it to flow backwards, just enough to cover these wires. So now the piece is fitting this angle. That's what I wanted. It's going on an angle this way, and it's got a nice radius, and it matches this. So what I'm going to do is pull this piece out, clean it up just a little bit, and then I'm going to weld that back side there, and then I'll trim this up later when I get done. So I'll pull that out, trim it up, and tack it, and then I will be back. Okay, so I cut my piece and then I just tacked it. I just tacked it on the back for now, but I got it lined up. It's going at the right angle and fits good. Fits in here. So everything fits in here, fits snug up against the hood. I've kind of sanded the top. I've left this edge long so I can trim it up later. Then I just cut a cap, and it's basically I just laid that down on top of a piece of sheet metal and traced it. So I'm not a fan of these square edges. I know I've got a couple here. I had to do that because of just the way these panels were made. I rounded this, but this is rounded there, but these edges. So I'm going to run a bead roller around that edge now. Roll it down, and that'll give us a nice finish there. So we'll go over and run that through the bead roller. So I want this roll to go down this way, and so I'm going to use the same bead roller and roll it down. So I have to move the camera back a little bit. I made this long and a little wider than what I needed it to. Now you see how crooked it is. It's because it's stretching that metal. And so it distorts it. We'll have to take it over and use the shrinker or stretcher a little bit and get it back to shape. Sometimes it's best to do it kind of in between. I'm going to run this through one more time. So see how distorted that piece is, but it does have a radius on there. So let's take it over and this will give you a good idea how crooked it is. Let's take it over the shrinker and stretcher. Stretch the edge a little bit. You don't have to push very hard. It's getting better. Sometimes you got to go through and shrink and stretch. Run it back through the bead roller to get it back to shape, because it's hard to get the shrinker stretcher right on those radiuses. Sorry. You can see it's puckered down, but when I start pulling, it raises that center right up. Let's flatten that out and see, it's distorted that. So I can take that over there and run it through again. I'm shrinking it right now, kind of over shrinking it, so when it goes through, it stretches it. Small radius like that, it's kind of hard to get through the bead roller with the die this big. So you might have to hammer and dolly a little bit to get it straightened out. It's getting pretty close. We'll run that through one more time. Now we'll go use our T-dolly. That'll help me get these radiuses here. It's not quite enough of a bend in it. So a lot of times I'll use my dolly. I'll try to use a dolly. I think that might hurt. This is an old vise, an old table. My grandpa had it. Still works. See, it's got a little kink right there. That tells me that needs shrunk a little bit. So I took the shrinker and I shrunk that. And that should help that get rid of that kink now. There we go. Okay, so we'll fit it to the top and weld it on. So now I'll roll this edge too, and that way when the cap sits on here, that it'll be a nice radius on both sides. So it's good to weld this piece on, tack it in before I roll it. That way it holds the shape a little easier. I'm just gonna put just a slight edge on this. It's nice to have a power roller. You can control the speed. Okay, so that's got just a little radius on there. I think I might just go just a little bit more. One more time here. There, that's better. Okay. Okay, so now what I'll do is trim this up, sand it like right on that radius, and so those two pieces meet, and then I'll tack it in, and then finish welding it. So that'll be a nice rounded edge on there. A little more work, but I think it'll look better. Just finishes off a little nicer, so to me it's worth it. Okay, I'll work on that and then I'll show you what it looks like later. Again, there's my radius.